Welcome to the Angels and Awakening podcast. I'm your angel medium, Julie Jancius, and today we're sharing your angel stories. Why do our angels and loved ones above show us signs? Yes, they want us to know they're okay and at peace, but deeper than that, they want us to connect with them so that they can help us more from the other side. Friends, it all begins with your intuition, vibration, and experiencing oneness. Your intuition is your soul's voice. It's also how your loved ones talk to you from heaven. In this podcast, we teach you how to turn up the volume on your intuition so that you can hear their loving messages more clearly. We also teach you how to raise your vibration and feel your oneness with all that is. Friends, you are here to love, give love, receive love, be love, radiate love. And because your soul is love, all you really ever have to do is just be. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to the Angels and Awakening podcast. I'm your host and author, Julie Jancius. And I'm so excited because today we have something a little bit different. I'm going to start us off before we dive into angel stories today with just a little healing, just a mini little healing to bring you in touch with your angels, your loved ones on the other side. So I just want everybody to close their eyes with me for a moment. And I want you to take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Let's do that one more time. And as you just quiet your energy, still your energy, I want you to tune in to the motherly energies that you have on the other side. That could be your mom, grandma, a great aunt, a great grandma, an aunt, or a close female friend on the other side. As you're doing this, you might see within your mind's eye these faces step forward, these energies step forward. They step forward with pure love. And they step forward today with this message that they're right next to you, guiding you, directing you, protecting you. But very specifically today, they have messages for you. They have messages for you that they're whispering to you right now. And they have messages for you that you're going to get out of today's podcast. I want you to be open to those messages as you hear the angel stories that you're about to hear today. Friends, thank you so much for being here. We are here with Chana Sue. Chana Sue, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you, Julie. I'm very excited to share today, and I'm so grateful to be here.
Good. Yay. So I'm going to just have you take it away and share your stories.
Yeah. So, I throughout my life have had different experiences. And the most recent experiences I can remember are kind of two unrelated experiences, but they kind of bridge into my I guess the angel story I would like to share. So every now and then it's like I just receive like hugs, like I can feel energy coming in from the other side. One time I had a friend, her name was Jenny, and she passed. I didn't know she had passed, but I had felt her come and like embrace and love, and then like from there, I knew I needed to start, because she was just on my mind, like that's all I could think about was my friend Jenny, like what's Jenny doing? Like what's going on? And then I soon learned that she had passed. The second most recent time this happened within the last like 4 years. I had a friend who had been in a bike accident and his pelvis had been shattered, but the police arrived and had arrested him. So he was like taken into police custody with his broken pelvis. And so it was like I could feel his cries for, like search it, like, like I'm here, I'm still alive, but my family can't find me. And so those were two very powerful within the past 3 or 4 years experiences that I had as an example. And so from those experiences, I had learned, or it had been brought, more to my forefront. Like if I had that feeling, I know something is happening. I know I need to pay attention. I know I need to reach out to that person or those that are close by and just kind of try to figure out what's going on, or just, I'm thinking of you. I'm here to support you.
Yeah. Or just like, I feel like we're on the same wavelength. I'm getting, telepathic communication. I'm sensing your energy. What's going on?
Yeah. So with this would be about the time of the pandemic happened. So 2020. And my mom had been having some health issues, but I don't think we realized, or she didn't realize. Can I even go back a couple years?
Oh, yeah.
So they live in Oklahoma, and that's where I grew up. And I have lived most of my adult professional working life in Alaska. So we have a great distance. So to come and visit and travel and see each other, it's like a mini expedition. So she had come up to visit us in our new house. We had relocated to another community. So she came up and she was visiting, and she looked at me and she said, have I told you about my dream about my room in heaven? So this was 2019. I was like, no, you tell me about this dream. So she told me about her dream and what her room looked like. And then, like I remembered all of that. And then maybe 6 months later, she's like, oh, I had another dream. And I was like, oh, okay. So in her faith base where she was, she felt like you received a new name once you got to heaven. And so she wanted to share her name according to her dream of what it would be.
Nice.
So looking back, those were all clues.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't know that at the time. So then back to 2020, I started receiving energy from my grandma's. So her mom's on the other side. I would just be folding clothes and I was like, oh, that's grandma. Like, yeah. What? Hey, grandma. And I specifically, my mom's grandma, so my great grandma, I know has played like a significant role in my life. Just our lives have aligned so much that I know we just, even though I didn't have a relationship with her. She died when I was just a baby, but just the way my life has cycled is very reflective in many ways of her life. So I know she's with me quite a bit. So I started getting, my grandma energy. I was like, oh, this is different. Like, I don't know what's going on. And I guess leading into it, my mom started to have like more symptoms occurring. So she was, seeking some medical help and discovered that it was indeed cancer. So then I was like, oh, I don't know, like I hadn't had the experience of like, what do you say to somebody that's been diagnosed with cancer? Like, that's a hard transition, to go from, oh, I'm healthy, to, oh, this is like really serious. So, we were talking on the phone and I'm like, I don't know what to say. And so, I felt my grandma come in and she said, just tell her that her lens from which she views life has been altered. So I told her. And then I hung up the phone. And then I went to my husband. I said, I think grandma just talked through me. Like, I didn't know what to say. And she just like told me what to say. My husband was standing there and he was like, oh, okay. And then I turned around and I had this little tea set from probably, I don't know, the 1940s, but it was my grandma's. And I know, and so my kids came out on the front deck.
And for those who can't like see us right now, we're over on YouTube as well, but you're pulling out the China set. These, oh my gosh, it's beautiful too. Look at that.
But it was like immediately they came out, like there was no hesitation.
Your kids just come out with the box?
Yeah. So about the time I'm like, I don't know, like I'm kind of playing it down. Like
you're self-doubting. Was that her? Wasn't that her? And they stroll out with this box of her teacups.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm like, oh, you little sweeties. I'm like, yes, let's go in and have a tea party right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was just really remarkable and reassuring. And, it's like, well, I can't play that off.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
I love that. That's amazing.
Yeah, I know. It was really sweet. It was a very sweet gift.
Well, and that's total validation for you. I hope that made you feel concrete evidence within your energy and within your heart and within your mind that no, 110%, I wasn't making that up. Grandma just spoke those words through me to mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's what she needed to hear because, those shifts in life and just going through life, we have so many experiences. Sometimes it's hard to transition into new, unknown experiences. But then, so, like we knew she had cancer. So I guess the end of May was, so a year later was when she went into hospice care. So she went into hospice care and, since we live so far away, it was like, well, it's like we go visit now, like even if we didn't really want to travel, it's like, well, we have to travel. So we went down and we got to spend some really good quality time with her in June. And then we stayed for a good couple weeks because, we've got both kids and we took our dog.
Yeah.
So it's just a big trip. So then, and then her sisters were coming in to help take care of her and help support my dad and just, just give extra love during that time. And then I would say, we had come back and then I had another experience where, she was like towards the end where like she couldn't really move very well, but she decided to get up and use the bathroom, but she fell in the process. So she was on the floor. And I remember waking up in my sleep and it was like I could feel her grabbing. And I just said, I'm here, Mom. Like, don't worry, I got you. Like I can feel you. Like I just woke up in my sleep. I can feel you. I can feel you. And so she they were able to help and get her, but she was down for like, I could sense that she was really, scared in that moment. Um, and then I would say July 1st, July 2nd, my sister called and the hospice nurse had just been out. And I said, oh, how's the checkup going? What does Nurse Becky say? Which she was a wonderful, wonderful, like, out of all of the hospice nurses, I was so grateful we had Nurse Becky. So she said, oh, she'll see Mom on Tuesday. And I just, without thinking, I said, well, she could go on Sunday. And Joelle, my sister, was just like, well, I mean, she could, but Nurse Becky said she'd see her on Tuesday. I said, okay, well, I just don't want you to be surprised. And she's like, okay, sister. So then Sunday came, which was July 4th. And we were heading here in Alaska, we were heading, because it's so hard when you live apart and you're still trying to balance your lives and be sensitive. So anyways, we were heading into town with the kids and the bikes because they were going to be in the parade. And I remember we were heading into town and I remember looking at a clock. It was 11:11, and I just had this euphoric feeling. And then just 10 o'clock came in my mind. Like I couldn't get it out. So, we do the parade, we stand in line for a hot dog. I'm sitting on a pond, like the edge of a pond in the middle of town, and there's like a black bear, like going up a trail. And so I'm, watching the bear. And I just, I called my sister again just to check in. And I should have told her, well, it'll happen by 10, but I didn't. I could tell things were like really bad. And she had two sisters there at the time. And so, I told Jared, I was like, well, we need to start, booking my plane ticket to go home. And he was just like, he was willing to do that, but he didn't want to send me and have me away for a very, very long time because, who knows time frames. And I remember getting kind of agitated. I said, it's going to happen tonight by 10. Book me my ticket. And so he graciously did. And then it was 9:50 Oklahoma time when she had passed. But because of the traffic from 4th of July, I guess the funeral home director, whoever comes to get the body, and hospice nurses, they couldn't get to her right away. So her death certificate says 11:11 on it.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yeah.
Just huge validation for you to know that, and I really want to talk about this because Archangel, Gabrielle and the Seraphim are right here right now too. And what they're both saying is that we come here with our own individual plans, our own individual paths as souls. And we get so caught up here in what Earth has become to Earthlings that we don't tune in to ourselves, to our intuition, to our soul, to that path. And I hope that everybody can see through Chana Sue's story today that it's about coming back to yourself, right? Like the tea set and your grandma speaking through you and you knowing the time of your mom's passing. It's all bringing you back to yourself. where you trust yourself, you trust your inner wisdom, you trust your inner voice, you trust when it talks to you, because the more and more that you can build up that trust within yourself, things happen very quickly in life, where sometimes we get to a point where we have to make very quick decisions. And what the angels are bringing through today is this message of just sharing with everybody listening that the more in these instances, the little angel signs come through, the ways that they speak through us, they give us a knowing that something's going to happen. The more that we trust and open ourselves to these signs and get these validations, which you just don't get a little bit, you'll get validations your whole life, big and
Mm-hmm.
small. The more that you trust it, the more you're actually learning how to trust yourself. And the quicker you're able to make decisions in the moment as you need to from an authentic space of your soul self versus your human egoic mind self. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
I love your stories. I didn't want to cut you off though. I didn't know if there was any other piece that you wanted to share. And then I've got more for you.
I think that's good for now. Yeah, because the rest of it, the other information I was getting during that time is not angel related. So I'll.
That's okay. That's okay. I did want to say this though, because your grandma and your mom from the other side keep talking about your daughter and how much she is a healer. And I know that this has come up on the podcast, but it's not up to me to filter messages, you know, even if it's
Mm-hmm,
been said before, it's supposed to be said again right here.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Um, you have been feeling very called to learn different things in order to be able to teach her. Is this your youngest?
Yeah, she's my baby.
Yeah, she is your baby. Um, but you feel it too. Like you've talked about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, even last week we walked into the grocery store and there were like all these heart chocolates everywhere. And she just really loves Valentine's Day. Why should anybody work on Valentine's Day? But she picked up a box. She's like, "Oh, we need to get this for Aunt Joelle." And I said, "Yes, we do need to get it for Aunt Joelle." So, we purchased it, and so we sent that to my sister, but she didn't know that it was her birthday coming up. Not, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I'm
I
like,
I I
you
would
got
ask
it.
her. Yeah, I would ask her to tune into that moment and just say, what did it feel like when you knew that we had to get this box of chocolate for Aunt Joelle? Did you feel that inside of yourself? Did you hear something whispered to you? Did you just have this overwhelming like knowing? Because a lot of what you're learning is to teach her how to connect with her own confidence and trust herself even more. Your mom keeps putting it in this way, and I want you to understand what I'm saying, because there are certain times where the other side comes through and shows me a sign, which means this isn't the right word, but there isn't a right word in the English language to say what we
Mm-hmm.
mean. Okay. So the word that she keeps using is a stronger personality, but I don't feel like that's the right word your mom's saying. But it's like she's just this little ball of confidence already. Like she just has this knowing. And we all kind of step out of it a little bit. I don't feel like she's going to step out of it a lot. She's going to step out just a teeny tiny bit in her teenage years and come right back in, because she has very, very big purpose here to help a lot of souls come back to themselves as well, and to really help this planet tremendously.
I could see that. She is my fire.
Yes. Yes. Um, amazing, amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have a question?
No. Yeah. So we've been doing, especially through the pandemic, exploring more energy. So we've been incorporating like Qigong practices into our lives, which has, helped, I guess, center in some ways. Um, but yeah, it's been just the transition, and this first year of grief is, always a lot to kind of undertake, and, trying to easily transition, and, um, I guess checking on other family members that are, dealing with the loss too is pretty significant. So yeah, that's what you do here, is try to take care of loved ones the best that you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting because Spirit will give me certain questions to ask. And one of them is go deeper into that you just said. And like, what advice, because you've learned so much, what advice do you have for others going through it? Of like, hindsight is 2020, right? I wish I would have known.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I would say your podcast has really helped in many, many ways. Being able to listen to other angel stories and realize that I'm not crazy. Other people have similar experiences. Um, how do we listen? How do we interpret? How do we move forward? How do we help our fellow human next to us? It's interesting because I grew up in the Christian faith based, but even within that, within the culture I grew up in, it was a very, very linear culture.
What do you mean by
Very
that?
like A happens, B happens, C happens.
Okay. Yes.
Yes. My background is in sciences. So
Nice.
it's very A happens, B happens, C happens. So when we moved to Alaska, my first teaching experience was in a culture that was not linear. And that brought so much enrichment and perspective to my life. I mean, I didn't, and I still don't feel like I fully processed all of that information. You know how sometimes it's like years later and you're like, oh, that's what they were seeing. This is, the rotation of life that they see. When they say, I had a dream about this, does that mean that it happened? And it's like, like my linear self is like, no. But looking back, it's like, well, maybe. I mean,
Yeah. Well, and it's fascinating. I know that you're in the angel membership. I don't know if you were back in the spring when we were going through and we watched the movie Arrival, but that's what it's about. Like that movie Arrival is about how basically the other side because it's not about aliens. Like I think the Hollywood has to create some of these stories sometimes, right, to be entertaining. But if you really break it apart and say, no, the aliens are aliens, they're really beings from the other side, loved ones and angels, and look at it from that perspective, they're teaching us how to see in a nonlinear way because that's how it works on the other side and communicate through a telepathic language. And so that's very interesting, though. So the Alaskan culture, though, is very nonlinear. Like, how would you describe that too?
So it's just very, it's as much culture because we lived in an Alaska Native community, but even within the state of Alaska, there's many, many different Native communities. You have like your regions, and so it's all very depending on what region you're in is your experience. It's not just uniform like Alaska. So we were in what they call the YK Delta, and so it's Yupik was, but it's just very like when you give birth, like you namesake.
What does that mean?
Like so like whatever elder has just passed, like that's the name, like you give them your children a Yupik name. And
Wow.
so it just really, like whatever grief you have, you just funnel it into love of that child.
Wow. Wow. That's beautiful. I'd love to talk to somebody about that. If you have anybody who would want to come on the show to talk about that more, that's so fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a really special experience, and I'm grateful for it. But yeah, it's just very, very different. And I know I don't understand like most of the dynamics happening just because, you live it in your culture and you're there, and that's just how it is.
What's fascinating too is I've been sometimes I think Glennon Doyle put this on her Instagram account a while back, but she said sometimes she thinks to herself um that in her lifetime, even if you spent all your time reading, you can't read all of the books, right? Here on earth within
Mm-hmm.
one lifetime. And it makes me sad sometimes because I'm like, I just want to study all of it, right? I just want to soak it up and I want to learn about all the different cultures because the more I learn, the more I see from the other side. For example, like when somebody comes through the Angel Reiki school, sometimes they'll come into our group sessions and they're like, Julie, I'm seeing all of this medical stuff for people when I'm working on them. And I tell them, go read a book about the physical body so that you know all of the organs, because when you know more about the physical body, spirit can bring through more to you. So when you understand different cultures and different pieces of different things, you can bring in and channel more because you understand what spirit is talking about. And it makes me sad sometimes of like, I just want to be here for forever and study it all and learn it all. And what my angels just whispered to me is, Julie, don't worry, because when you go to the other side, instantaneously, all the knowledge just comes back and you absorb it all like in an instant. It is what your soul is. It's all knowing. So, I guess I don't have to be sad about that.
Yeah.
Cool moment. Thank you so much, Chana Sue, for being here and sharing your stories. I'm so sorry for the losses that you've experienced this year, but I know that your mom is right here and they're so proud, your mom and your grandma, of the mother that you are to your babies. And they said that you're right where you're supposed to be. You're doing exactly what you're supposed to do. And your journey ties in so much with both of theirs, but in different ways, and with your baby of her healing journey and what she's supposed to do here.
Thank you, Julie. I greatly appreciate it. And I'm so happy to have this opportunity to get to share and get to experience more avenues of life.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. And everybody listening, if you have angel stories, please feel free to send them in, because we are always looking for new stories for you to share here on the show. Thanks, everybody.